I'm currently editing the video, and the video is really long, really long. So I'm gonna assume most of you are not gonna have the time to watch it in its entirety. So what I suggest you do is that you treat the video as like a repository of knowledge about the patch, or my opinion about the patch, and you'll only look up the parts that you are particularly interested in. I'm gonna label each part of the preseason patch meticulously in YouTube chapters. And you can just look up the parts you are specifically interested in. Without further ado, have fun with my video. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The new patch notes for the preseason of League of Legends just dropped, and I was just about to read them and thought, well, I might make a video out of it and share my thoughts with everyone else who might be interested. So what you're going to do is I will read the patch notes and give a running commentary on what I think their impact on the game will be. Obviously, it is to be expected that there are huge changes, like there have been in most preseasons so far. I'm not really informed about leaks, about PBE or something. I try to stay away from all these sources because I'm not really good at keeping it straight with what is expected to come and current patches, so I just stayed away. Preseason is enough time to get acquainted with all of that, so yeah. So most of it will be new to me. Of course, I've heard of something like jungle pets and have a rough idea how that works, but not really. So, without further ado, let's get started. So, that's almost no champion changes. Okay, that's interesting. Chemtech Drake. Okay. Interesting. When the Chemtech Drake is below half health, it gains 33% damage resistance and deals 50% more damage. Oh, that is cool. If you have the standoffs in front of Dragon, where one team starts or doesn't start, and both teams are standing around, kind of playing what we call the Dragon Dance or Baron Dance, in this case just Dragon. It makes it more punishing for the team that has the Dragon aggro. Obviously, that doesn't happen every time, far from it in fact, but it might discourage these types of standoffs, which is good thing in my opinion. This Drake will deal 100% total AD plus 4% of its target's health as physical damage with each attack. Physical damage. Huh. Okay. So damage wise it's about the same as the other Drakes. A bit more punishing for tanky champs in the late game. Well, that's fine. When your team kills a Chemtech Drake, they will gain a stacking buff that grants 5% tenacity and healing and shielding power. Okay. Huh. If you have a team comp that, well, basically that revolves around Enchanter, and you can stack 2 or 3 of these Drakes, in the late game this will become unbelievably broken. Otherwise, if you get just 1 or 2 of these Drakes, or just 1, if it's one of the first 2, assuming that mechanic is not going to be changed, then its impact will be, I don't want to say minimal, but very small. Okay, which is interesting, I guess. At this point, well, it's such a niche case that you have a dragon that you get multiple of, more than 2, I mean. So that doesn't happen often anyway. And even if it does happen, it usually means the opposing team got the first 2 drakes, and then you started stacking drakes from the third or fourth on. Meaning, beforehand, either you were a team that wasn't able to fight, meaning a more scaling team, or you were behind and are now no longer behind, which is why you're able to take these objectives. Meaning, you're only able to get the really broken effect from stacking multiple Chemtech Drakes when you're already winning. So it's more of a win more kind of thing. So yeah. But I mean, I play enchanting supports a lot, so that's nice for me. But all in all, that doesn't seem very useful, although it's hard to evaluate the tenacity bit. Because again, if tenacity is very valuable, almost everyone will already be stacking tenacity in runes. So if it's a team where this kind of effect would be valuable, almost everyone will already be having it. I would have to look up the soft cap for tenacity and how it mathematically how useful that is. But overall, I get the impression that part here will not be that effective. Okay, Chemtech Soul. Upon receiving the Chemtech Soul, players will receive a buff that gives them 10% damage reduction and 10% more damage while below 50% health. So is that the same as Mountain Drake but better? Obviously it's a completely broken effect, but that's what Soul is all about, so that's fine. But I don't know. Mountain Soul is very good in fights that are staggered, so that the shield that you get can regenerate again and again, that you have its effect multiple times in one engagement. That kind of benefit you don't get from Chemtech Soul. You just get flat damage reduction. Oh wait, is there a difference between damage, gives them 10% damage resistance and damage reduction? Is there a difference? I mean, would be resistances and just would be Mountain Soul, and then they wouldn't have need to write damage. They could have just written 10% resistance, so that's not it. So I'm just gonna assume it's damage reduction. Flat out, that's a great soul, very great soul. That part about 10% more damage while below 50% health. Obviously, synergy with itself because of the damage resistance. Either if you're in case of not getting one shot anymore, you now deal damage at all because you're not dead, and you just deal even more damage. Or in case of it being a fight that is longer, then it just means that you're longer below 50% health where you deal more damage. So that is nice. But despite that, when you're below 50% health, often in the late game, which is a part of the game at which Soul usually becomes relevant, if you're below 50% health, often you're just not able to participate in the fight anymore at all. So, But overall, that is a very, very strong Soul. I kind of get the impression they just grabbed all the effects that were not reserved for the other souls so far, and it seems a bit but I guess it's in tune with the theme of Chemtech being influenced by chemicals, mutations, whatever. So that's nice. Overall, I think it's a pretty good idea, this Chemtech Drake, and it's not as random as the previous soul. The Chemtech Rift. Stim fruits. Honey fruits will upgrade. Oh, okay. It upgrades the jungle plants, special thingies. Stim fruit honey fruits will upgrade into stim fruits and provide the usual heal. Plus the usual, yeah, it's just the usual heal. Plus a bonus shield. In addition to no longer slowing champions that consume it. Honestly, that last part that it no longer slows champions, that is pretty big. The shield, well, it's hard to say how good that is. Depending on how big it is, if it fades over time and all that stuff. So not enough information here. But overall, that's pretty nice. Blast cones. Blast cones will now blast units within their range. Yeah, okay. Twice as far when they explode. Are there no additional walls you can go over? For example, the one I'm thinking about... oh no, you could do that before. Huh. Wait a minute. Where is it? Where are the blast cones? Here? Here? Honestly, I don't know. Where are the blast cones in the normal rift? How's it called? LoL blast cones? Okay. So, are there additional walls you can now go over? That one here, you might be able to jump directly into the lane, which is interesting. Nothing new. It's depending. I'm not gonna assume that, for example, that one you can jump to that lane here. I'm gonna assume it's not that far. Maybe you can go here into mid lane. That would be really interesting, especially for support roams into mid for blue side. That's big. That's probably the biggest. And here on the other side too. But that's less relevant because supports have to spend more time to get on the top side of the map to influence mid lane. But it's still very relevant. Yeah, I think those are, if that is possible, that jump. Those might be the two most important ones. Yeah, it's really depending on how far it really is. Scryer's Bloom into Firelight Bloom. That's a cool name. Which will reveal a smile area around the plant when broken. So like a circle around the plant? Okay. In addition to the usual cone in the opposite direction it was broken from. Okay. Allies tagged. So does that also mean allies tagged in the circle? Or just the cone? I'm gonna assume both. Will gain movement speed towards that direction for a short duration. So the direction of the cone. Again, depending on how much movement speed, but that seems pretty interesting. Honestly, that change has so many possible applications, all varying on how fast and if it's just in the cone, or also if you're standing around the circle and how big that circle is. I'm gonna assume it won't have game-breaking implications, but it will be a pretty big change, I think. I know. No, it won't be a big change, but it will have a relatively big influence, I think. Movement speed is, in my opinion, one of the most, I don't want to say undervalued stats or things in League of Legends, but one of the stats where it's the hardest to really see the influence it has on the game. appreciate it. Appreciate the influence it has on the game. That's a good word. Okay, I had more. And enemy wards revealed will be taken to 1 health. That's pretty nice for if a single person in early mid game, if a single person uses a Scryer's Bloom and the time that they have to spend to get into enemy jungle or close to enemy jungle or enemy territory and to clear ward. Previously it could be that for example the enemy jungler, the enemy supporter, any enemy champ is in the vicinity. They can punish you if you have to spend the time to deal 3 hits in a ward or maybe even 5 hits on a control ward. Yeah, I'm gonna assume it also puts control ward on 1 health. So wards could be more easily defended. With this change, that is virtually impossible. Yeah. Oh, that is... Is that a good thing? Huh. I don't know. It's an interesting thing. That will be also... could be very, very big. It might have some implications for ward placement on Chemtech Rift. Yeah, okay. That all in all, Chemtech Rift sounds very, very interesting. On first glance, it doesn't seem completely broken, but interesting and most of all, interesting new mechanics, which is good. Okay, jungle changes. Okay. Our own little durability update, okay. Our goal with the update are to make it more of an investment for laners to take jungle camps, especially in the early game. Okay. Depends on what they define in the early game as, but okay. Keeping fast cleavers while making slow cleavers. Slightly less slow by shifting jungle into DPS into companions. Jungle companions, if I understood it correctly so far, they are basically you buy them as the jungle item at the start of the game, so only the jungler can have them. And shifting some gold and experience from the jungle itself into the new jungle items. So, okay. On the other hand, we actually made Krugs a less durable camp by removing the 2 Krugs. Oh, that's nice, because it really destroyed jungle roots or forced junglers into certain jungle roots because either it took so long to take Krugs, I couldn't take it at all because of the time it took, so that's a good change, I think. By removing the 2 Krugs, they spawn from the ancient Krug. Assume that's a bigger one. So but there still spawn 2 if you kill the small one. Yeah, okay. Okay, that's a good thing. That's a really good thing. Okay. We've also made quite a few adjustments to reduce how effectively both laners and enemy junglers can poach camps. The on-site clearing strength changes are meant to speed up how fast junglers clear their own jungle, while increasing the opportunity cost of invading. Are they gonna get rid of counter jungling? To be clear, we absolutely do want counter jungling in the game and believe it should be an effective strategy for junglers. However, the current state of counter jungling is far too strong and punishing, making it an incredibly miserable experience for those being invaded. Which isn't ideal for the role. No, that's bullshit. It's completely bullshit. Invading the enemy jungle is inherently a risky thing. And there are circumstances in which the enemy jungler can do that. And your role as a jungler is to recognize those circumstances. For example, you vaguely know the enemy pathing and you know he is topside. And top and mid are very pushed in. Your top and mid are very pushed in. So you know if the enemy jungler were to walk into my jungle right now, I couldn't fight him provided that the enemy is stronger or you're in even strength. But you couldn't fight him because the enemy laners would be there first. That's just how it is. And your role as a jungler is it to identify that situation and act accordingly. For example, not be in the situation where you have to leave your jungle immediately. Rather, you should be in a position to invade the jungle on the opposite side of the map. This change isn't ideal for the role. This change isn't ideal for people who don't know the role. Okay, I don't like that at all. The on-site clearing strength changed, so I assume they're gonna explain that further down. Yeah, okay, there. On-site clearing strength. Junglers now deal 20% more damage from non-true damage sources to monsters on the on-side of the jungle. This increased damage will not apply when invading and dealing damage to the enemy camp. Yeah, of course, because it's on-site. Wait, junglers just deal more damage? So that is just a flat buff to all champs in the jungle role? Does that now mean every single champion in the game can be a jungler, or what? Because that is what I'm reading here. Okay, let's just go for the back to the text where we were and think about that for a while. My god. Now paragraph for our favorite Rift scuttler. Okay. 2 key issues. Breaking his shield. Yeah, that's bullshit for some champions. Or some champions can't be junglers because they can't do scuttle. And it's dependent on that your champ can reach scuttle by 315. Yes. While we completely remove the former, so the shield. Okay. We shifted the spawn time for scuttle to 330. Well, faster clearing jungler can get a sweet pre-scuttle gank now. And what if laners are just not stupid? Honestly, in games it's usually pretty easy to find out the first path, also the first clear path of the enemy jungler. That's pretty easy to find out. And if the laners that are at the end of that path are just not stupid, then the jungler is, I don't know, chilling in river and waiting for scuttle to spawn because he can't do anything else. No. It also means they can't gank. No, if they gank earlier in the middle of their path, they might fuck up their second clear, the second jungle clear. Yeah, okay, I think that's stupid. Completely removing the shield from scuttle? It all goes into that damage increase and that scuttle change. Both goes in the direction of we want to make every champ a jungler. I am not yet certain how to feel about that, but I'm leaning to negative. Last big change to discuss is sustain in the jungle. Yes, jungle sustain is stupid. We are taking the healing power out of Smite and Gromp, okay, and spreading it across the jungle with the jungle companions. When the percentage health on hit damage from some camps is factored in, it should result in a jungle where only a few champs finish their clear with low health. Most champions have a decent amount of health to work with, and sustain-oriented champions leave very healthy. Okay, I don't know yet how jungle companions heal you exactly. I think there was something about on-hit healing or something, but we will see. So more sustain. Oh my, all those comments I saw about jungle being becoming easier and easier and easier. I mean, it is kind of true, but now, why, my god. You only need one finger to clear now. Before you at least needed one hand. Okay, marked for death. Camp mechanics. When a large monster dies, all small monsters in the camp will be marked for death. After 10 consecutive seconds of not being in combat with a champion, monsters that have been marked for death will die. So now leaving a little chicken left over and you notice that 10 minutes later and you are annoyed. Okay, that's pretty good, because that mechanic was kind of stupid, that you have to check camps and that, for example, a laner goes by your camp to check if it's cleared properly, and yeah, that was just annoying. Okay, damage increase. Oh, I really hope somewhere in this patch there's something that makes jungling in some way challenging. Parting gifts. All large monsters will now heal 27 plus 3 through level. Increased by up to 2.25 based on missing health. Okay, there's still that missing health healing. And restore again based on missing mana. Upon takedown if you have a jungle companion, aka if you bought the jungle item. This heal mana or do you only have the companion after you upgraded the jungle item? We'll have to see when I see that item. Because that could be big. This heal mana restoration will take the form of a projectile that will be fired towards the champion that last hit the monster after a 0.3 second delay. So does that mean the projectile can miss? Does it follow the champion? Is there an indicator? Does that mean when you're leashing camps and path to the next camp that there is an awkward step in between where you have to wait for that missile to hit you? Okay, that can be potentially just really, really annoying and downright bad mechanic. We'll have to see how it is in practice. Camp gold and experience changes. Lane minion experience. Junglers will only gain 75% experience from lane minions before their first pet evolution. Unless the jungler is behind the average game level. So if a jungler, I don't know, top lane, fight happened, both top laners died, and you as a jungler mobbed up and pushed out the lane. Usually have then a decent experience lead on the enemy jungler, which can be relevant on, I don't know, both reset and you meet somewhere in the river and you level up. And the opponent jungler can do almost nothing about that. But that's just how it is. Because you as a jungler invested into that gank that gave you that experience lead, so that you should have an advantage. I don't see that as a problem, honestly. And again, a catch-up mechanic, unless you're behind the average game level. Usually in the early game, before your first pet evolution, again, we have to look at that when we are at the jungle smite item, companion, whatever thingy. But I'm gonna assume that is not rather early on in the game, that you get the first, I don't know, pet evolution, I don't know, before 15 minutes. Usually, you are not very far behind. Even if you are behind, you are not very far behind the average game level. So that catch-up mechanic, I don't know how often that is really applicable. All in all, I think that's just bullshit, but okay. Large monster gold. Our large monster gold given to non-junglers has been reduced by 15 gold. Okay. That is mostly relevant, I think, for top laners and bot laners who take Gromp and Crux respectively. Huh. Or in case of top laners who are proxying and or invading and taking enemy Gromp. But yeah, that is fine. Large monster experience for non-junglers. All large monster experience given to non-junglers has been reduced by 15 experience except for the Ancient Crux, which has been reduced by 12 experience. Okay, because it's more annoying to take. All in all, these golden XP changes for non-junglers basically slow down snowballing from a winning lane, which I'm fine with. Large monster experience for junglers. All large monsters now give an additional 15 experience if you have a jungle companion. Man, when do you get your jungle companion? When do you do that? Okay, if you bring Smite, you have the option to purchase the pets, who are really cute, by the way, in egg form at the beginning of the game. Okay. Okay. Jungle companion will evolve twice throughout the game by acquiring treats. 1 treat per large monster and champion takedown. 1 treat is stored every 60 seconds. Okay, so that first, when large monster is killed with bonus treats. Oh, okay. 1 treat. Okay. When is the first? Okay, there's the first evolution. When is it evolution? Companion progression. Yes, yes. You need to collect treats to evolve your pet, or your egg, into a pet, and then to birth your, I don't know how is it called if an animal goes from egg into, well, a being? I don't know. First you need to birth it, and then it evolves once by acquiring treats. Okay. But how many treats do you need? LoL. Jungle companions. When do they evolve? Okay, that's annoying. When do they evolve? That is a rather big deal. Maybe if I find out before I edit and upload the video, I will insert, well, my thoughts on that these changes with the new information. Okay. But all, yeah, okay. Let's skip that for now. Ah, okay, now here it becomes more difficult. Blue buff has more health. It deals less damage. Oh, now deals current health on hit. Gromp deals more damage, has less attack range, okay. More health. Also on hit, current health. Yeah, okay, that's removed. Ancient Krug, more health, less damage. On current health on hit. They spawn faster, the little Krugs. Okay, that's cool. Ancient Krug is now counted as 2 CS. Yeah, that's just nice. Wolves, more HP, less. Yeah, okay. I assume the damage that they deal is around the same that they do now, but they have more health. Depending on how big your damage increase is with the 20% on-site clearing buff, that might just cancel out. I'm not sure. Honestly, I'm not gonna do the math on that. I have to be as honest to say that. But somebody will. Might have to check out Freak later. But okay, it might be possible that these changes more or less cancel out. Okay. They're cute as hell. Good. We have 3 kinds of companion that equal to 3 kinds of smite. Okay. Companions in general deal damage. Do they also damage champions? +20 plus 4% base HP, 50% AP, so a scale with basically everything. Rate of, and will attack at a rate of 1 attack per second, okay. After the owner has stopped attacking, they will attack 2 more times and then stop. Companions will heal the owner for 70% of the number every time they attack, okay. Damaging a camp from a distance because companions a leap attack towards the camp, so no awkward maneuvering to make use of them in the most efficient way. That's nice, I guess. Companions will provide the owner with mana regen while in the jungle, in both jungles and the river. That's nice. Okay, you get treats, and you need treats to evolve, and you get bonus treats depending on if you have reached the companion's final evolution or not. You get them slower, or well, you get them every 60 or every 90 seconds. When a large monster is killed with bonus treats available, players will receive 2 treats and 50 bonus gold. So how many of these can you stack? That is basically a mechanic that you can optimize your jungle clear on to get the most gold and to get the fastest evolution of your jungle pet. Okay. It doesn't say if you can stack them indefinitely or not, so I'll have to see. Now, first of, okay, that is depending on when the evolution is. Smite damage will be increased to 900 to damage against monsters, so, okay. Smite is now castable on enemy champions, yes. Dealing true damage and slowing the target. So everyone gets blue smite. Okay. Final evolution. Okay, damage goes to 1200, so it's might become harder to outsmite even the 900 HP smite. Which is nice. And will do 50% of its damage as an AoE damage against nearby monsters. Meaning even champs with adequate AoE will have their clear speed sped up by a bit, even later in the game. So a champ like Diana one-shots entire camps from a certain point on, and now someone like who doesn't have AoE? Someone like Trundle will do the same now. %50 of its damage as AoE, so 600. Okay, yeah, that's okay. Increases variety in viable junglers. Okay. In this case, I like it because the restriction that, also the thing that restricts you from playing certain junglers or gives certain junglers a disadvantage is, in my opinion, just, yeah. I didn't like the nature of the restriction that you just don't have AoE. It should be more difficult. Your clear speed in general should be a factor, but it should also be what you bring to the team, if it doesn't fuck up team comps or not. For example, Teemo Jungle just destroys team comps completely. Your ability to influence the map, your strength at different stages of the game, all kinds of things. Your gank potency. All that should be a factor. Not just, do I have AoE or not? Okay. Plus will come. Okay, it's a final evolution. Players become empowered and receive buffs depending on their chosen companion. So here you don't get that. Here you get some buffs that are dependent on you having the first evolution. Okay. So these are the 3 pets. Moss Stomper, that's a green one, I assume. Gain health, gain a shield 75 to 330 based on level. Health shield after killing a monster camp or after 10 seconds out of combat. So in essence, Mountain Soul. The shield will remain indefinitely. Okay. Players will gain 20% tenacity on slow resist while the shield is present and for 3 seconds after it has been broken. So everyone gets a Sejuani passive. That's pretty good. And protection buff. Take 30% reduced damage from monsters while at least 2 allies are within 30,000 units. Huh. So you can basically tank Baron and Dragon as long as it's not AoE indefinitely. Remember what I said earlier about, for example, a Chemtech Drake dealing more damage, and that might discourage teams from having stand-ups in front of the dragon. Yeah, that cancels it out. Well, if you have a jungler who chooses this upgrade. So, yeah. Okay. Wait, don't you gain an extra effect on your smite? Oh, okay, you don't receive... Okay, it's just not on your smite, you just gain that. Independent of if you use smite on something or not. Okay. Okay, the second part here is... Yeah, I don't know what that is about, just whatever. That first part is pretty good. Pretty good. I like it. For example, Sejuani jungle will probably always take that. That seems amazing. Scorch Claw. Scorch Claw will accumulate Ember stacks at a rate of 3 stacks per 0.5 seconds or 100 stacks upon killing a large monster. At 100 Ember stacks, so 100 is a maximum, and you always gain the maximum after killing a jungle camp. Okay. Your next instance of damage against an enemy champion will slow all enemies in 250 unit radius by 30%. Decaying over 2 seconds, and deal burn damage equal to 5% of the target's maximum health in true damage. Over 4 seconds. Okay, only to the primary target. Huh. That is a really big buff to, well, ganking. To just ganking in general. Okay. That's pretty interesting. A jungler like Jarvan might be pretty interested in that. That's pretty cool. Gustwalker's Gate. Gustwalker. That one here, assume. Okay. Gain 45% bonus movement speed when entering a brush. That decays over 2 seconds after leaving the brush. Is increased to 60% after killing a large monster. So everyone becomes Nidalee. Well, very much buffed Nidalee. If you're kind of tempo jungler, like, actually, I was about to say Graves, but Graves would probably be interested in all 3 of these, and Nidalee might also be interested in that one or the Scotch Club one. And just honestly, nobody is gonna call them by their names. They're gonna be known as green, red, and blue. Just to be honest. So Blue Smite is, well, honestly, it's a pretty good thing that I'm trying to think about champions that might benefit from Blue Smite. But I'm always running into, but those champs might be interested in these 2 smites too. Which indicates pretty good balancing at first glance, so I like that. That is not dependent, the movement speed is not dependent on in combat or out of combat. Oh, that can be so, oh. Imagining an Udyr having that thing. That would be so disgusting. Oh my god. If you have that, you're not gonna be able to be caught at all. Oh, that will be so disgusting. Yeah, I think that movement speed is too high, but on the other hand, it gives you no immediate combat buff, like these, green and reds might do. So, all in all, I think these effects are very interesting, creative. I like them. Okay, leashing range updates. My god, this video is gonna be so long. In an effort to make the jungle more welcoming to players unfamiliar with the role, we'll be adding visual leashing indicators. Oh, that will show how far camps can be pulled. So we're making it even easier. We're also decreasing the distance camps can be pulled. So now we're having to stand on perfect pixel to clear 2 camps at once. Yeah, because you can't do 2 camps at once anymore. I wonder if you can do things like Gromp and Blue still at the same time. We will see. Soft resets after losing its patience. Instead of fully resetting, the monster will soft reset for 6 seconds. So it won't instantly reset. So that makes it just easier. It makes it less punishing. For example, if you're in your forest clear and you're trying to, you start with blue and then do Gromp. And usually if, for example, you're trying to path to your wolves and imagine you fuck it up and Gromp resets. Usually your early game is kind of done if you're playing against competent opponents. And they gain okay, it's not done, but it could be done. Because your opponent just gets a huge advantage. It's less punishing this way now. Which I think is a bad idea. It should be punishing if you make big mistakes. Monsters will not lose patience for 1.5 seconds after being within the leash radius. Isn't that normal? Oh. Camps will now begin to regenerate lost patience after being within leash range. And leash ranges are smaller. They are significantly smaller. Oh! Rift Herald. Now you can't lure Rift Herald to Pixel Brush anymore. Into Pixel Brush, I guess. I think that's what that says here. And no 2 camps at once anymore, I think. Okay, I'm fine with that. That is just making it too easy. On the other hand, complexity in League and how big of a barrier for entry it is for new players, that's a whole different topic. I don't want to go into that now. Recommended pathing. Oh, I heard about that. Starting off your first clean the wrong foot can be quite punishing for junglers, yes. We are adding first clear pathing recommendations. These recommendations will be shown on your minimap and above camps visually. Honestly, if I play jungle and as long as I'm able to turn these recommendations off, I'm fine with it. If you're not familiar with your role, okay. At the end, it's like looking up item builds on some third-party website. Okay, do it. I don't expect you everyone to be good enough to do it on your own. But in the long run, it will just prevent you from becoming good enough on your own to gain an advantage through superior pathing that is adjusted to this specific game you're playing. So, all in all, I think it's a good thing. It makes it easier for new players, but it also makes a difference between new players and good players bigger. So it has upsides and downsides. New communication tools. In order to better facilitate communication between teammates, we are adding voice for all players. No, just joking, because that would be stupid. So these are new ping wheels. Okay, where that does come in. So there are 2 buttons for pings now. One for all purpose thingies and one for enemy vision. I don't understand that. Well, what is that? Enemy vision. It was basically ping before. Wait, is that a different hotkey on the keyboard? I don't know if it usually is a different hotkey, because I have it on different hotkeys, these pings, but I don't know if that is my personal setting, or if that is the standard. I don't know. So okay. Well, okay. Well. Okay, here it is. Yeah, okay, ignore that. New pings. Getting your team on board with taking an objective can be difficult. Having everyone ping simultaneously can get very confusing very quickly. No, actually, that is not the case. In my experience, at least. We're introducing new voting feature that will appear when objectives are pinged. That works similarly to a surrender vote. The jungler's vote will be counted as 2 votes. Our hope is that this helps teams better plan around global objectives together, because sometimes the team call is better than the right call. There's some truth to that. But honestly, usually everyone is on board with, there is not usually it is not much discontent about, oh no, what's the word? There's not much discussion about if you do objectives and which one you do, because usually it's pretty clear. If you have less idea about how to play the game, and then this feature might provide you with a more clear and direct path to play the game. So it makes it easier again. I assume this feature will be somewhat planned around people trying to troll with it and spamming and all that stuff. Assuming that is taken care of, yeah, okay. Again, it makes it easier for new players to get into it, but it will make the difference between good players and new players bigger. Allied ward tracking. We are introducing new ward visuals on the minimap that will indicate when wards are close to expiring. Allied ward minimap icons will now change appearance when they reach a third of the remaining duration. Again, that takes skill out of the game, but in this case you just usually you would have to just know when a ward was placed and keep that in mind, or you would have to check the ward manually by clicking on it or hovering over it. In this case, that just skips these steps, which are minimal. So okay, I'm fine with that. Enemy ward timers. It can be hard to keep track of every single ward that gets placed on the minimap, and even harder to successfully communicate that information to your teammates. Now, if you use vision ping near an enemy ward that you've seen within the last 10 seconds, or just attack it. So it appears automatically if you attack a ward. Okay, a perfectly accurate ward timer that is always visible to all teammates will appear until the ward is removed or expired. So it can't appear if there is no ward, so it's not possible to troll someone with that, or grief. Yeah, okay. Again, you might notice I'm not all for, I'm kind of against a lot of these changes that make the game easier, but I am also part of the player base which is not the majority, so whatever my judgment may be has to be seen in that context, that I'm not the majority. I can understand why they do that, and okay. Suggested ability level ups. Okay. Now, top lane. Okay, I've heard a bit about that, but I'm not sure what was the truth. We'll be happy making some adjustments to help top laners scale better relative to other laners. They already scale the best. Well, not scale. And hit those key item and level breakpoints faster relative to mid and bot. They are already hitting their key breakpoints faster than everyone else. They are already doing that. Every single game I come from bot lane and the top laner is just, well, I'm support, but even if I play AD carry, the top laner is just 3 levels above me, even if his score is 0-5-0. Okay. Yeah, this is this whole top discussion, and top has no impact. There's usually, obviously, there's a problem that in competitive play, top laners are definitely not weak, and they're definitely not irrelevant, and their impact in the game is gigantic. In solo queue, yes, their impact is less. So I can understand that. But now if you make it too strong solo queue, it becomes broken and competitive, which is an issue. But let's see what you are changing. Wait, mid lane gold changes. All minions spawned in the mid lane will be worth 1 less gold before 13 minutes when last hit. How many minions spawn before 14 minutes? LoL minions spawn. Minion waves. From 1-5 and keep spawning waves every 30 seconds for the rest of the match. So one wave comprises of, well, 6 minions. So to 14 minutes, that's 28 waves. Times 6 is 120, 140, 168. So in essence, that means mid laners get 168 gold less than before, up to the point of 40 minutes. Okay, that's okay. Minion experience. Minions now grant 2.15% more experience to solo champions. So that also applies to mid lane, I assume. Minion experience when shared between multiple champions is unchanged. So they're not even saying something about top lanes. Okay, what they intend to do is nerf mid lane in terms of gold and buff XP for top and mid. So top gets buffed, mid gets buffed and nerfed, and bot is unchanged. Okay. Honestly, the whole top lane thing, I think top laners are just whiny. But that's just me. Mythic items. When you first introduce mythic items in the item update, we design the first item purchases that define the playstyle of your build. We revisited our item philosophy and now believe that these items don't always have to be the first item rushes. Well, that's usually the case at the moment. Sometimes okay, they don't like that. And we are revamping tank mythics without the presence of emulate. Okay, that's nice. Because if you're playing top laner and you want to build a tank item, well, you build Iceborn or you build Sunfire. And you have to build them because the items are just the best tank items by far. And if you don't build them and the opponents build them, you're just always gonna lose. Always. But when you buy them, you basically always push the lane. Well, because you deal AoE damage around you, which can be really annoying. So they're making other tank mythics more viable or introducing new ones. We'll see. They will be introducing 3 new mythic tank items, as well as reworking Frostfire, not Iceborn. Turbo Chemtank, Iceborn Gauntlet, Turbo Chemtank, and Sunfire Cape will be moving to the legendary item space. So, and have their effects simplified. Okay, let's see. Jak Sho the Protean. That reminds me of, what was this item called, that purple helmet thingy? It doesn't matter. So, 3000 gold, okay. So, wait, is that a mythic? Yeah, that's a mythic. So, slightly cheaper than the current tank mythics. 400 health, 300 armor, magic resistant, and ability haste, okay. Aegis, which is a sucky item, Kindle Gem, and Ruby Crystal. So, if you are building health, first thing on the tank champ, your first item purchase is cheaper. Previously, it was 1000 for the burning ruby thingy. You know what I mean. So it's cheaper in that sense. Passive, Voidborn Resilience. For each second in champion combat, gain a stack, granting 2 armored armor up to 8, so up to 16. At max stacks, become empowered. So 8 seconds in combat grants you the maximum, okay. At max stacks, become empowered, instantly draining enemies around you for 3% of your max health. Reduced, okay, to 30% against minions and monsters. And increasing your resists by 10% until end of combat. On fantasy, here we go. Okay, that will be interesting, timing that for maximum effect in fights. And the 10% resist increase is obviously kind of big. For lane, if you build Jak Sho the Protean, if you build Jak Sho first thing in lane and you get it, it might put you in bad situations where you unwillingly push your lane because you just AoE the whole wave. So that will be something to be careful about. Mythic passive grants all other legendary items 5 armor and magic resist. No additional burn damage, just a lot of resistances. So, and you drain enemies, so that means you deal damage and you gain health. Okay, I overread that. Okay, all in all, seems like a pretty interesting item. Full on tank item. Yeah, I like that. Oh, that's the on version. Yeah, I don't care. Radiant Virtue. The cost and the stats are the same. The build path is also the same. Okay. Passive, Guiding Light. Upon casting your ultimate, you transcend. Increasing your max health by 10% for 9 seconds. Okay. While transcended, you and allies within 12,000 range of you. 1200 range, I mean, of you gain 15 non-ultimate ability haste. And heal for 1% of your max health every 3 seconds. Increased by up to 100%, so 2% of your max health. Based on the champion's missing health. 60-second cooldown, so no spamming on champs like Udyr with a spammable ulti. That's good. That's pretty interesting. That is such a big buff to your team that I'm gonna assume that if you proc it and you're grouped as a team and everyone gets that buff, it's like a Drake ult. You can't fight that, you have to retreat. For how long? For 9 seconds. That's pretty long. That's long enough to force an enemy team off an objective easily. Mythic passive grants all other legendary areas 100 health. Huh! That's pretty strong. Of your 1% of your max health. Let's say you're what? I don't know. Sejuani top. You have 3000 health. So that's 100 health every 3 seconds. So 30 every second. Increased by up to 100% based on the champion's missing health. So 30 to 60 health per second. That's pretty big. That is pretty big. But when you're not using your ultimate, the item itself is pretty mediocre. So you're only purchasing that item obviously for that passive. So it's interesting that they are changing the item from, for example, if we compare it to Sunfire, which we have now, the item itself at any point in the game is extremely strong. It's broken basically. Whereas Radiant Virtue is not, which is a very good change, I think. I like that a lot. If you're just casting ultimate by yourself in a 1v1 duel, what do you gain? You gain 10% max health. Oh yeah, and the ability has cooldown and the healing. You also gain that. Okay, it's also for you. Okay, it's not just a mediocre item, but it's definitely not as good. Yeah, okay, I also like that item. I like it. I hope it has some visual effects that make it clear to your teammates what is happening. Yeah, I don't care. Heartsteel the third. That is more expensive by 200. And the others gave 400 health, yeah? Yeah. Oh, it's like a Varmox. 200 health ring, ability has 800 health, and it's more expensive, okay. Kindle Gem, Crystal Embracer, and a Giant's Belt, okay. Lot of health stacking. Colossal Consumption. Charge up a powerful attack against a champion. Over 3 seconds while within 700 range of them. So it just always charges it up if you're in range, I assume. The charged attack deals 125 plus 6% of your max health as bonus physical damage. So again, we go to the Sejuani with 3k health. That's 180. So 305 bonus physical damage. That's decent. And grants you 10% of that amount as... And grants you 10% of that amount as permanent max health. So 300. Okay, so you gain 30 max health. Whew! If you can proc that a lot, that... Oh, okay, that is... But it only gives health, it gives no resistances. Oh, 30-second cooldown per target. So, if I assume you're that you are in range of 2 enemy champs and you charge up an attack and use that attack on one champion. Do we still have a charge for another champion, or does it begin charging anew until you use it against an enemy champ? I assume the second, because the first would be completely broken. But in a big team fight, it just needs 3 more seconds to again charge up an attack. I mean, you get into a river fight and you go, assuming you proc that passive on 3 champions. I don't know, like early on in the game, you have everyone has 1 item, 3v3 in top river or something at Herald. Yeah, okay, I like that. Assuming you don't have 3000 health yet, but okay. I like how it scales, and it only gives health. Grants all of the legendary items. 1% bonus health and 6% champion size. Oh my god, Cho'Gath, here we come. Oh, I like this item a lot. It's really powerful. It's really, really powerful. But you don't get resistances. Oh, I like this item a lot. That will be fun. Okay, that is the changed Frostfire. Now it's really Iceborn. It's more expensive? Okay. It's more expensive, less health, more armor and 0 magic. Okay, that's interesting. Ability has chain, build path. Sheen, Kindle Gem, Chain West. Sheen is interesting. And Spellblade, okay. After using an ability, your next attack is enhanced as an additional 100% base AD and creates a frost field for 2.5 seconds. Anything enemies that move across the field are slowed by 15 plus 0.004 bonus health. Halved for ranged users. Yeah, I'm just thinking about Ezreal again. Not again, at the moment. Your primary target is crippled, applying a 100% stronger slow on them, and reducing the damage by 10% against you for 2.5 seconds, and 1.5 seconds cooldown, so you can proc it over and over in a duo. Mythic passive grants all other legendary items 50 health, 5% tenacity, and 5% slow resist. So the old... Wait, I thought it's not a mythic anymore. Or is it? So that is still a mythic item. Okay. It doesn't give MR anymore. So you don't get away with just building generic tank items and not building MR. Okay, that's good. The more armor is also interesting. It's a more specialist item. And previously, Iceborn was just the worst dual item. If you have an Iceborn user or it was known as Frostfire, I don't care. If you had someone with Frostfire fighting against someone with Sunfire always wins that fight by a mile. That might no longer be the case. That crippling thing is really strong in 1v1. And even though you buy Sheen, usually that has only been used by 80 champs or 80 item users. But it might be really, really inefficient for 80 item users to buy this item like Ezreal or Wukong. That's interesting. I'm not quite sure where that item will have its place. Obviously, I was thinking of a champ like Sejuani, but yeah, it might be possible for her, but that item now has to compete with, for example, Heartsteel here. It's okay. I'm not quite sure where that item will fit in, but it's not a bad item per se. Rod of Ages. That's a mythic, right? Yeah. So, okay. 3.2k. 60 AP, health and mana. Catalyst of Aeons. Catalyst of Aeons is coming back. This item gains 20 health, mana, and 4 ability power every minute up to 10 times, so 10 minutes. And so it gives you at maximum 500 health, 600 mana, and 100 AP. Upon reaching max dex, gain a level. This will also increase the level cap of 18. Yeah, okay. But you reach, most importantly, ultimate level caps, for example 11 and 16 earlier, which might be really big for a champ like Karthus. This will be the quintessential Karthus item. And all effects of Eternity increased by 50%. Yeah, that's a passive. Unique passive Eternity. Restore mana equal to 8% of pre-mitigation damage taken from champions. And health equal to 20% of mana spent, so the old passive. Up to 15 health per cast. Toggled abilities can only heal for up to 15 per second. Okay. For every 250 health or mana restored this way. Huh? Gain decaying movement speed for 2 seconds. So you will have a counter, and when you in your fight and you gain these stacks for health and mana, if you're at the breakpoint of 250, you gain the decaying movement speed for 2 seconds. That seems incredibly random and really, really difficult to use effectively in a fight. That just seems random. Grants mythic passive, grants 5 ability haste. Okay. Well, it's Rod of Ages. One of the Rod of Ages, the old times in which Rise would just buy 6 Rod of Ages and would be a good item build. One of the reasons Rod of Ages was removed previously was because one of its build items, the Catalyst, was incredibly broken. Because once you bought it, it made it almost impossible to bully you out of lane, which was an issue for example like a champ like Kassadin. It was almost impossible to bully this champ out of lane because he just wouldn't lose mana, he just wouldn't lose HP. So it was unfair in that sense. So the item itself, Rod of Ages, is fine, and I think it's pretty strong. But I'm interested in the Catalyst of Aeons part. There we go. 1100 gold. Okay. Health, mana. Okay. Ruby crystal, sapphire crystal. Okay. And the exact same passive. Where the passive was increased by... Yeah, I forgot that part. Effects of Eternity increased by 50%. Huh. Huh. Huh, now that I think about it, if it might be possible to reach this movement speed increase a lot in a fight. If I think about a champ that really spams like Cassiopeia or Rise or Karthus, you can gain that buff really frequently in the fight. Okay, that item is okay, it's not that random, it's actually pretty strong. Huh. Yeah, okay, and besides that it has the same ability, okay. Yeah, this exact issue which I just mentioned, which is the reason why I think the original Rod of Ages was removed, is coming here now. So Don't know what to think about that. But to be fair, at that point where Rod of Ages was still in the game, or was way worse of a player, so my perspective might be really skewed. All in all, Rod of Ages and its part is and will be very strong item. Abyssal Mask will be changed. It will be more expensive, give you more health and mana, so it's also built with Catalyst, I assume. More magic resist. Yeah, Catalyst, Inspector's Cowl. Wait, does Catalyst give cooldown reduction? So when you build Abyssal Mask, you don't get cooldown reduction until you have the item completed. Okay. Huh. Passive Unmake. Curse nearby enemy. Champions reducing the magic resist. Wait, that's the same, isn't it? No, it's a bit better. By 5 plus 1.2 bonus health. For each cursed enemy, gain 9 magic resist. This will make you into really, really big anti-AP juggernaut. But the item itself doesn't give AP of any kind. Okay. For a champ like Amumu, this might be really interesting. What am I saying? It is really interesting, this item. Well, a good tank item. It's pretty specialized in the anti-AP part, but it's a good tank item. Randuins Omen, also becoming more expensive. It's a lot of cost increases. More expensive, 150 more health. That's pretty good. Less armor and no ability haste. That's pretty bad. Warden's Mail and Giant's Belt. Okay. Humility. Briefly slows nearby enemies by 55% for 2 seconds. Actually, I don't know by how much it slows at the moment. Critical resistance. Critical strikes deal 20% less damage to you. Really, really big. Rock Solid. Yeah, that's just a thingy. Not sure what to think about that. It seems to me like they make it a less generic item, and instead they're making it into an item which is really only good against AD carries who build critical damage. Otherwise, this item is way worse. Which I don't think is a good, which I don't think is a bad thing. I like specialized items as long as I have a place. What I don't like is items that are always the best or always the worst. That's bad. But niche items, or that is a bit more niche than because every game has AD carries. I kind of like that. Okay, not every game has AD carries, but most. Sunfire. From Mythic to Legendary. Cheaper by 500, that's a lot. Bit less health, more armor, no magic resist, and no ability haste. That's big. Balmy Cinder and Train Beast. Yeah, the Aegis part. Honestly, this item is so bad. I hate it. Unique passive Flame Touch has been removed. But it still burns. Okay. Ability haste removal, and that it's no longer all-purpose resistance, instead only armor, hurts the item a lot. A lot. But it's considerably cheaper. And it might be a valid thing for a lot of champs to go into Balmy Cinder, then complete a mythic item, and then finish Sunfire up later. I mean, yes, it is supposed to be a weaker item. Immediate damage is no longer increased by 150% against monsters. Huh. Okay. Okay, that's fine. I mean, yeah, I'm a bit disappointed because it's weaker, but it was also broken and it's supposed to be weaker, so I'm fine with that. Turbo Chemtank. The same gold cost decrease. Oh, they're making Aegis cheaper. I like that. The passive has been removed. Does it have an active? Wait, what does that item now have? Oh, magic resist. Okay, here they remove the armor. They decrease the ability haste, but they give it more magic resist. But wait, the mask, that's not a mythic, right? No, it's not. Looking mid to late game option for any tank looking for an extra bit of engaged potential. But this item doesn't have any engaged potential. Unless they kept the active and it's just not written down here, but yeah, I assume they kept the active. If they had removed it, they would have written it also down, so I'm gonna assume they still have the active. If I want a magic resist tank item, but I don't have mana. Yeah, okay, that it might have its place, this item. But am I ever gonna build it above or what's it all called? The tank item that gives magic resist and movement speed if you're hit. The blue one. Are you ever gonna build Turbo Chemtank above that item? Honestly, I doubt it. Unless I have also changed that. Okay, Aegis, I previously mentioned, I hate that item, but they have made it cheaper. Okay. Ravenous Hydra. Less AD. The passive are 60 to 12 total AD based on distance. Okay, always 60 for melee and 30 for ranged champions. So that's basically a buff for, I don't know, Ezreal, Ashe for AD carries essentially. Unique passive, Carnivorous. Gain AD and Omnivamp on minion kills. Increase to twice that amount for champions. Oh! Gain AD and Omnivamp. Stacks up to 24 AD and 4% Omnivamp. Lose half of these stacks on death. So it's basically an AD Magi's. Oh, that's interesting. That's really interesting item. Yeah, okay. Previously, this item was basically very, very niche, only for top lane champs who really, really, really needed the wave clear. Okay, I'm interested what comes of this. Compared to Magi's, the stats that you gain from the stacks seem pretty low, but Magi's also doesn't give you all that other stuff that Hydra gives you now. So, okay. Do I like it that it's basically a bad Magi's passive tacked onto it? No, I would prefer that you just have good AD Magi's. But okay, it's interesting that I do that. And I think it's a good idea. Tiamat. Okay, the same. Changes to cleave. Shojin. Oh yeah. One of the most broken items in the past. 3,400. Okay, that's a lot. 65 AD, health, 300 health, 20 abilities. That's a lot of health. Unique passive Dragon Force. Non-ultimate spells gain an extra 8 plus 8% based on AD. Ability haste for melee champs. What do you mean? Non-ultimate spells gain ability. That they just have less cooldown or what? And 6 for ranged champions. Okay. Wait, what? Reduced to 4 ability has for melee champs. For spells with immobilizing effects. Oh. Like something like Renekton W would have only 4 plus 4% of base AD ability haste. Okay. Passive Exigency. I don't know what that means. Gain up to 50% melee, 10% range, movement speed. Gain movement speed based on your missing health. Maxed out while below 33%. Okay. So it's a purely offensive. Okay, it's kind of interesting. It's a purely offensive mythic. Is it a mythic? No, it's a legendary, alright. A purely offensive legendary item. Okay. Purely offensive gives you a little bit health, but no resistances, and it gives you no sustain at all. Unlike certain other items that you don't want to mention here. Build from BF Sword, Kindred Gem, Corefields. Okay. Reasonable build path. BF Sword obviously the biggest obstacle. Because solo lane champs usually don't want to build BF Sword because, well, it's a very big investment and they are way more vulnerable than, for example, an AD carry. Can other champs then, I don't know, like a Fiora, build this item? Can AD carries build this item? Can, I don't know, Ezreal? Hard to say. I don't think so. It's basically an AD bruiser item. Yeah, okay, all in all, they're trying to nerf what made it so broken in the past. Honestly, I can't evaluate how good that is. It's definitely not bad. Oh, Cho'Gath adjustments. R damage increase for Cho'Gath. Damage to non-champions, 1000 plus 50 AP with 10% bonus AP to 2200. Oh no, it's to non-champions. So they updated it to be the same as Smite. The base stat, I mean. So they still want the Cho'Gath R to compete or more likely overpower Smite. Okay, that I like that. Lilia. Oh, a lot of Lilia. Oh, not so much. Oh, attacks now count as melee. Oh, okay. Base health. Yeah, nobody cares. Health growth, though, that should more or less cancel out. Passive. Healing versus champions. 10.5 to 124.5 plus 80 AP. Linear scaling, yeah. 6 to 120 based on level plus 18. Yeah, okay, anyway, that's the same. Now use a stat growth multiplier? Wait, what? Wait. Linear scaling, what does it mean? Wait. No. Shouldn't change when the plus 18% AP is applied. Honestly, I don't understand what they're changing here. Okay, let's skip that. Nuno, Q damage, Q. True damage to non-champions. Okay, they're also adjusting that to the Smite changes. Yeah, that's fine. Range to melee, that's pretty big for the support item. Yeah, but that is basically... Okay, it's... Basically, it's a comfort update. But good Rakan players... Nah, oh, no, it's not just good Rakan players. No, it's a straight buff. For the level 2 power spike and bot specifically. You can now easier proc the minion execute from the support item. Yeah, that's pretty good. It's not game breaking for Rakan, but pretty good for the early laning phase on Rakan. So, summoner spell Smite. Yeah, okay. We talked about that. Turret plating. Gold given per plate, it's more. And they make it harder to gain plates. Wait, do minions deal true damage? No, they don't. So I think the biggest impact this will have is decrease the damage that minions deal to turrets, especially early on. And it will shift a bit more of the responsibility of taking down turrets on the champions attacking the turrets. But all in all, the biggest thing I think is the gold buff on the plates. If you are playing as a coordinated team that rotates, for example, a Caitlyn around to take turret plates. For these kind of strategies, and there's a pretty big buff and rewards that kind of coordination. I like that a lot. Aram, yeah, I don't care. Champion base stat cleanup. Yeah, cleanup, I also don't care. Behavioral system. Penalty ladders. Penalty ladders? Oh, I mean, assume the increasingly heavier punishments for infractions will be upgraded accordingly to match the new severity tiers we can detect. So okay, maybe I should read it. For a long time we've recognized the disruptive chat in League of Legends, but we haven't been able to target it as effectively as we wanted to, because of the challenge of separating disruptive chat from well-meaning chat. Especially chat which is marginally disruptive. With our new system we can more effectively identify the nuances between more egregious chat and less severe but still inappropriate chat. With these improvements we are expecting an increase of disruptive chat detection of over 20%. Yeah, that's basically meaningless. As a result of the significant increase in detection penalties, we will be carefully monitoring these new systems. Okay. Players who are chat restricted will no longer be able to send any messages to other players in game. DMs will still be available. So basically they're introducing more tiers of punishment that players can receive for disruptive behavior. Well, as long as they're not saying anything about what these punishments are, that's basically meaningless information. AFK surrender time updates. No more deaths on time, so I would call an anonymous early surrender vote if AFK players detected on the team between 10 and 15 to 3:30 and 15. That's nice. Okay, that's just really good. Champ select anonymity. Only in ranked solo team, not... Yeah, good, nobody cares about flex, but... Honestly, I can understand that and I can appreciate that change. But I'm not someone who frequently checks every player I'm playing with before the game in the lobby. But what I do is, for example, if there is a player that doesn't communicate at all, or a player that communicates in a certain way that makes me think that might be Yasuo at Raven main mentally, then I am gonna check. And I might act on what I see there. If I happen to notice also a champion player is on a 20-game losing streak, where he is clearly one responsible for the loss every time, I might also act on that information. And I think Riot should be responsible to police that kind of behavior too, so it doesn't negatively impact my game, not just remove my own ability to defend myself against that behavior. So while I can appreciate that change and I understand why they want it to happen, I also think Riot's current systems are not ready yet to make that change. And I think, at the very least in the short term, this will have a negative impact on solo queue quality. Game remake updates. Okay, before 3 minutes, if a player is in this fountain for 90 continuous seconds, the team is able to initiate a remake. At 45 seconds, the player will receive a chat message telling them they need to leave the fountain. At 70 seconds, they will receive a pop-up message telling them they need to leave the fountain. So 90 seconds, meaning 130, is basically when, the buffs spawn and shortly after waves hit in lanes. So. So if a player maliciously is AFK, this will change nothing. If a player is just not on his PC and is not able to see these messages, this will also do nothing. What will do something is that you're able to initiate a remake earlier. Meaning after 90 seconds. Whereas it now at what, 3:15 where you can? Or is it 3? I don't know. So you can initiate a remake earlier. That is the relevant part. Which is, well, okay, it's a good change. And there are these cases where someone is AFK but comes back. And even if it's perfectly well-adjusted person and he intends to play the game to the best of their ability, just by being that late to the game, they already might have put their team significantly behind and nobody can do anything about that. This change will also reduce the amount of cases where that happens, which is also good in my opinion, very good. Okay, Eternals, don't care. Mythic content, new skins. Prestige Jax, Nico, Zed, okay. Leaving, yeah, okay, it's just the skins. Season end rewards are here. Okay, that's just season ends. Okay. Bug fixes, skins, Space Groove. Ornn gets a new skin. I can't believe it. And Derek. Okay, that looks just cool. Prestige Nami. Okay, that looks weird. Victoria Sejuani. Oh, that's a skin. Cool. Okay. Pretty cool. All in all, honestly, this will be a very long video. I might split it up or I just might put chapter titles. We will see. Anyway, all in all, I think there are a lot of good ideas in this patch. The general direction I can see, apart from making the game easier, even that is a good idea for the most part. All in all, I think the direction is very, very good. At some parts, I think they kind of failed to deliver on that objective, and that, but that's what the preseason is for new things to be introduced and to see how they do in the real environment. All in all, I am very much satisfied with this patch, and I am excited to try it out and play on this patch myself. That was it from me. I hope you have a nice day, and bye.